Good morning, my students. This is me, Dr. Hani الحسني, and that's the course of study skills for freshman students or first university students. Today, we will continue our electronic classes instead of face-to-face classes because or due to COVID-19 pandemic lockdown. Today, we have another a chapter to talk about after the midterm exams. So let's talk about chapter 10, how to be analytical and critical. So in case of this kind of a chapter, we have to request or to share with you kind of such examples from out of the book. So don't feel panic or disappointed if you realize a lot of information out of the book, but the main source for this chapter is your book. So that's a reminder to all of the students to think about the original source, which is your course book. But here for the slides, usually we share such new ideas or we try to think out of the box. So here, the first slide that we have to continue. If you check out the book, you will find this kind of quotation. I keep 6 honest serving men. They taught me all I know. Their names are what and where and when and how and why and how. So that's the well-known author called Rudyard Kipling. He wrote a lot of novels in the 20th century, and that's why he's so well known around the world. What's the meaning behind it? It's the cognitive education objectives. When we ask the 6 questions, we are trying to knowledge of facts, comprehension of information, application of information, analysis, and then synthesis, and finally we need to evaluate the information that we have received. And then we have critical analysis involves breaking a question or topic down in order to consider all of its topic. So without having this kind of breaking the question or any topic, you will definitely face such troubles of understanding or maybe absorbing the whole idea. And a critical analysis takes into account the context. So let's say I'm having such a book, I have to check out who is the author and the source of the information, the timing or the book already in which year already published, and where is the a place for the publisher or the publication in which country or which city. Then we have critical analysis requires wide reading or synthesis. So without reading, you cannot criticize, you cannot share your thought or point of view. So to critically evaluate a subject is to make consider judgments about the quality of context, claim, and content. Generally speaking, if we have kind of evaluation here, you need to understand such a thing about the judgment. You can't give any judgment without tremendous reading of the same topic or idea. Critical thinking. So this is a skill already mentioned by UN targets or goals for 2020-2030. So from 2020 till 2030, the students in the university has to be aware or have to be aware of the critical thinking, which called here an abbreviation CET. Why? Because without thinking, you won't give any solution to such problems. You have to think and you have to do it critically. How? Let's look at the example or the explanation here. It's often a place that the very heart of what it means to be an academic professional in the workplace as or a student. So when you are academic or you are a student or a professional, you need to give your feedback in a nice way, which reflect how you are already very informative about the specific topic. And that's why in the next point here, critical thinking is the art of making clear reasoned judgment. So without the reasoned judgment, it means you will face such problems from other people because you don't give them clear judgments or clear evidence, and that will be really lead you to such consequences or unconsiderable consequences based on interpreting and understanding, applying and synthesizing evidence gathered from observation, reading and experimentation. So how you get your evidence or how you get your point of view when you experience something or when you read the information from original source. So you will have that rigid and authentic resource, and this resource you could use it somewhere in the university or maybe among such professional people. And how that can be promoted, it will be totally promoted through reading and writing. And without reading and writing, you won't be into kind of critical thinking. Notably, it means you have to think about where I could be or where I could share it through the dialogue or exposure of students, or maybe situated problems. Such problems you could share your thought by having the positive effects from the critical thinking. And for the university, what you have to do is to understand, you need to develop your analytical, critical, and skeptical abilities. Without these skills or these abilities for critical thinking, you won't understand the meaning of how to be a university student and how to develop your skills. Why? Without this way, we understand our courses, reading, and our assignments. We know what we are writing and why. So this is very important for you to understand that when you have the level of high skill for critical thinking, you won't have problem of understanding why you are writing or why you are doing this assignment. Okay, clear. To move next, we have how to be critical. Let's look at these points. All the different and contradictory arguments can't be true. It means sometimes you have kind of argument, this argument between you and your friend. Maybe you are arguing of something which is from your imagination, and that's why this kind of contradictory, you or your friend, you have, or one of you should convince the other person with his belief or her belief. How? You know, or you have to know how to use the evidence to justify your point of view. So using justifications, extra justifications can give you better consequences, and the consequences that you have or you are looking for will lead the other person to find good results or to think about the consequent result that you are looking for. And here, for justification, you need to do the analytical and critical thinking strategy. And also you have to help the journalist move from description to analysis. So if you are a journalist, if you are a student, sometimes you start with description, then you start to analyze why and how and what and for what, and that's how you engage others with you. So to critically engage with, or to be engaging with an argument, you have to identify the point, it should be a point. It's not many points, it's not many issues. It should be one point and what you are looking for. And then deconstruct the argument, try to find the evidence, reasoning and persuasion, or how to convince others with your argument, and then appraise the strength and weaknesses. It means you try to share the strength and weaknesses to make it very equal and to give adequate evidence of why you are argumenting on it. And then reading critically. When you read something, and this is not about speaking or fight for an argument, this is about how to read. So when you read, for every paragraph you read, you have to ask such issues or such question like, what is this paragraph about? Where is the author coming from? How does this impact on their argument? What evidence are they offering? How valid is it? Who would agree with this and why? And would or who would disagree with this and why? And then how could I use this in my assignment? And next we have here a kind of analysis, evaluation, description, question. So when we have here in that side, when we ask what, when, who, it means I'm trying to describe the issue or describe the point. And after I finish, what if we try or why and how. When we ask why and how, we analyze. So using the question of why or how, we try to analyze. And then when you ask such a question like what if, so what, and what next, here the three questions, it refer to evaluation. So you try to evaluate such point of view. Let's back here. Don't stop at journalism question. So you have to memorize one person, his name John Helston, shared journalism question. And journalism question asks who, what, why, and where, and finally how. So this question or the journalism question, it's kind of habit. You ask about what if it were different, and why is it acceptable? You ask why, and you ask so what after it for kind of a question, and then what next? What next? What comes to conclusion, or how the information that you gather lead you to the next step. And let's move to the next point, deconstructing an argument. Some questions for you to consider when you have kind of an argument. What is the context? It means you ask about author, place, and timing. What is the main argument or the conclusion or recommendation? What are the minor conclusion? The conclusion that you find it less important than the major one, and what are the measurable or observable facts? There should be a fact or facts you have to save or to keep, and what is implicitly or explicitly assumed. So when we say implicit, you are talking about something hidden, and explicit something not seen. And when we ask this kind of a question, what is implicitly or explicitly assumed to be true without any support, and how does this information compare with that from other source? So you check this kind of question, how we deconstruct, how we divide them, how we break it them down. And here you will be a good analyzer, or you have critic skill or critical skills. You could be critic person. And to continue, you can also asking such a longer question, is there somewhere or where it is unacceptable to have homelessness? Like this is, for example, how do they achieve that? What does it cost? Is this cost more acceptable than the cost that our society pays for having homeless? how can I weave this into my essay? And you for sure, or certainly, the final case that you need to understand when you have an assignment, how you could weave or how you could harness it or use it for the benefit of your essay or your writing. And all these questions are designed to get us thinking around the subject, thinking in depth, and thinking critically and analytically. So try to think in the surface, and step by step you think deeper and deeper until you get in depth for what you are looking for. Therefore, to summarize, critically engaging with academic source involves routinely asking questions of the material, which may include such a question like, what exactly is the author arguing? Is the argument logical? Are there alternative arguments of the explanation? It means, can we provide another explanation for such an issue or such an argument? And finally, are you convinced by the argument? It means, have they or is he convincing or persuading you with his point of view, or you still away from understanding? And does the evidence support the argument fully or partially? How strong is the evidence? How big is the sample? Is the source reputable and unbiased? So when we look at the source, the information that we already bring it to the conversation or to the argument, is it reputable? It means, is it valid? Is it reliable information or accurate source, or even it's if unbiased, it means it should be independent. It doesn't carry any specific point of view that belongs maybe to political party or belongs to one president or support one group against another. So that's how we think when we have the analytical and critical thinking. We need to raise such a question, and these questions for sure it will help us to understand how we could make such a good argument or a fruitful argument at the end of the day, because we can share the evidence and we could make the argument understandable by so many different or various people, those who will hear the conversation later on or the argument somewhere else in the world. So at the end, I would thank you because you are listening to me. Again, we say that this chapter is about how to be analytical and critical for study skills. We already finished chapter 10. I'm quite pleased that we could talk to you again through the virtual reality videos. We will upload to you such videos later on YouTube. Please be tuned with me and keep in touch. Very soon we will have more conversation and more discussions. Thank you again for listening for this video, and see you later.